Ladies and gentlemen, episode 10, Posts and Pints podcast. Thank you for joining us. I can't believe we made it to 10 episodes.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I'm surprised we haven't...
2 weeks of MLS, and that's all we really got. So its title is Life of an MLS Capo. State of RBNY as well. We'll talk about Red Bulls. We'll talk about being a Capo. We've got a special guest, John. John, I'm going to botch your last name, so I'm going to let you just intro yourself. Dive into a little bit of what the Devils podcast is. And, just take it away for a second, then throw it back to me when you're done.
Yeah, you got it. So my last name is Faherty.
There you go.
As far as the podcast, the Let's Go Devils podcast is concerned, everyone knows me as Shorts Guy for that. Let's Go Devils podcast, very, very similar to what you guys have. We started it. It's the premise was just a couple guys at a bar talking Devils hockey. And that's what it's kind of bloomed into and expanded to, to the point where we're 3 seasons into it. Where I don't even know what episode we're on. We're way into it. But and that's pretty much what it's become is all of us just talking Devils hockey, and just like we're sitting at a bar, we all drink as we're talking, and it's been a good time. So. It's for everyone that likes the Devils. Let's Go Devils podcast. Check us out. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, all that.
Sweet, and we'll put all that information in the show notes for all of our.
See, I'm new to hockey, so I'm interested. I'm gonna check out your podcast, man.
Dude, like the best part about Let's Go Devils podcast is like they actually like you guys are actually like you guys are big to the point where like you're actually getting like people inside the organization, legends of the team, announcers, like that's the part that like always gets me. Like I love listening to you guys. I'm not even like a full Devils fan. I used to be a Devils fan. I'm no longer a Devils fan. I know I'm a prick. When you trade away Jay Pandolfo, John Madden, Jamie Langenbrunner all in the same like off season, I have no reason to be here. Okay, leave me alone.
How fun is it over with the Canucks over there, bud?
I mean, we had the Sundin twins for a while.
That's all you had.
Yeah, and how many cups do the Sundin twins have?
None.
Hey,
just some Stanley Cup final losing riots. That's all.
Yeah,
hey,
the Vancouver Canucks riot harder than any other team.
Anybody else?
I still remember Dre and I were at the same, like we were at someone's house and we were watching the final of like the Vancouver Canucks losing. And all I remember is like one guy was standing on the edge of a bridge and there literally was another guy who kicked him off the bridge. Like I don't know how far the drop was, but like it was scary enough to the point like I'm watching this and I'm just looking at Dre like that dude just kicked another dude off a bridge. How angry have you ever been to leave a sporting event to the point where you're like
right off the bridge?
I remember when I was in Pittsburgh, I was there in school one of the first years in like 30 years where the Pirates qualified for the postseason in the baseball. And there's a bunch of bridges in Pittsburgh, and there's one right outside the stadium, and homeboy jumped off the bridge to celebrate making the fucking playoffs. Yeah, can't make that up. Anyway, Justin, with that note, we're back to you.
Back to me, and we're going to, I guess, start it off with what are you drinking as usual? I don't know why I forgot, but I swear I'm not drinking.
Again.
Actually, Matt, go first, and then whoever wants to go.
You know the order. Matt, go
first. Zero sappy story required this time.
No, we like him. It was a joke.
No,
it was a one-time joke. We're sorry.
No sappy stories. Put your tissues away. No sappy story. It's departed souls. I have a ton in the basement due to the fact that I stocked up so heavily because I want to support all my local brewing companies, because in this time of crisis, your local businesses need your support now more than ever. So I refuse to buy anything that isn't from a craft brewing company.
A little
sorry.
Sappy. A little fucking sappy.
Wow.
A little sappy. But
a little sappy.
But I like it. It's fun. Departed souls is the best. Dre, go.
I got myself this beverage. It's called a Mexican Mule. So it's the same recipe as a Moscow Mule, but you just sub in tequila. And it's probably the only tequila drink I enjoy. So Mexican.
What type of tequila are you using?
Jose Cuervo Gold.
Oh.
Wow, you fancy.
Very nice.
Because I don't know the difference between one to the other.
Neither do I, honestly.
Go ahead, Alex.
I am drinking Jameson ginger ale with a little bit of lime. But
Oh wow!
before this,
I am so
I
shocked.
was tired and I forgot that we had the podcast, so I made a pot of coffee and put Jameson inside my coffee.
There you go, bud.
So I just recently made the switch to soda. So.
Like, do you drink your coffee black and just pour Jameson into it, or do you like?
No, black. I drink it black.
The question is, why didn't you use the cold brew Jameson? Why did you use the regular Jameson?
Does he even have any of that left?
I have a very little amount, and I'm gonna save that for another drunk night when I go, hey, I forgot I fucking have this.
Kyle.
So I'm drinking Lancaster County cider. This one is frosted.
So good.
They do sell year round, but they're the company that does everything for the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. So if you
nice.
go there, all of their drinks you could buy are all from Lancaster County cider.
Sick.
And
The Renaissance.
The Renaissance Fair.
Hold on, did anyone ever see How I Met Your Mother? What was it? It's not Renaissance, it's the Renaissance.
The Renaissance
exactly.
Fair. Nice. I can back that up. That's a really good cider.
Yeah, I don't just go to a Ren fair in another state to buy booze, but
that's exactly what we do. We go to the Ren fair. First, we stop at the winery, fill up the back of the giant pickup truck with as many cases of wine and cider as we can, drive it back to the hotel, and then we go to the Ren fair. But our priorities are definitely in the right place.
Exactly.
You know?
Good job. John?
All right, so I spent my afternoon drinking Jameson and ginger, but now I am now drinking Cape May IPA from my Kegerator. And,
Nice.
as we get started, I'm going to raise a beer. Sorry to be sort of on a kind of a, I don't want to say a downer note, but I raised a beer because today is April 15th. And you know what? We can all relate to this. 96 supporters went away to a match to support their team today, and they never came home. So to the 96, I raised my Cape May IPA. We can all relate to going to an away match.
Cheers to the Hillsborough.
Never came home from Hillsborough, so
that's for you guys.
Appreciate it.
So I have to start with that. I would be remiss. I know Matt and you and I definitely don't agree when it comes to EPL, but you know what?
We're doing it whether it's today, whether it's February 6th with the Munich air disaster, here's the thing. At the end of the day, a rivalry, the bond is only so deep, if that makes any sense. But at the end of the day, we all recognize that every single one of us are human beings. And
absolutely.
As much as you want to hit the person, wearing, the opposite colors to you, at the end of the day, we're all humans. We all have to look out for each other, especially in like these times. Like,
absolutely. And you should absolutely be able to go to an away match and come home.
That's
and
it.
The 96 went away and did not come home from Hillsborough. So, to them, God bless them. And, today is that 31st anniversary, but I am drinking Cape May IPA. One of the first purchase I made as a homeowner here was to purchase a Kegerator.
Nice.
And
badass.
Adulting.
And I've got a keg of Cape May IPA currently in the Kegerator, and I'm gonna go get another one in the next couple of days because for the first time in my life, because of this whole situation, I'm keeping a tally chart of the beers I'm drawing from my keg, and it's pouring very cleanly, so I know I'm getting like maximum beer from the keg.
Nice.
But I know that I am 5 beers away from the keg being over. I'm gonna have a new keg come Friday afternoon, and that's I don't want to lose my beer. And,
there you go.
and
is that like a half-size keg, like a smaller keg?
I have a 6-0 of the IPA right now, and I'm gonna get another 6-0 too. So
gotcha.
It's roughly about 40 plus beers.
Why don't we have a Kegerator?
You should all have a Kegerator.
Absolutely.
This is your house. We can put a Kegerator anywhere.
Dude, I'm a Kegerator.
I'm telling you right now, that's
we'll replace the dishwasher with a keg.
Worth it.
Our dishwasher is actually currently not working. We don't know why. Actually, we kind of know why, but I like that idea. We can definitely put a Kegerator in its place. That is fantastic idea.
I highly support anyone and everyone that loves beer to get a kegerator and have it in their house because it's been the greatest thing that I've ever had. It's,
Nice.
you have a fresh pour of beer whenever you want it, and I know sometimes it may seem odd, but for those times that you only want like a little bit of beer, not a full beer, you can just have a little bit of beer. And that's the best part of a kegerator is you can just have a little bit of beer and not waste any beer. So I completely support having a kegerator in your house.
That's it. I as you were talking.
Can I do a double tap? 1 beer for Kyle, 1 Jameson for me.
Yes, you can.
So
all right, let's do this.
Provide links in the show notes.
So to
in my Amazon card.
Hey, Justin, hold on, guys. Justin's actually drinking something today.
Wait. Wait. Oh, wait. So on Justin's camera lens right now, there are in fact no laws. If this entire video stream right now was like legal land, Justin is the only part of that land that has
no laws.
No laws. Because he's drinking sauce.
Too bad Mario's not here to make fun of him.
In 10 days, when I move to the new house, I will go to the liquor store and not buy a kegerator, but buy some beer.
So you're just buying wrong.
So what you're saying is I'll come visit you, and to christen it, I'll come with a case of White Claws. Got it.
Or Jameson? That's fine.
Well, no, that comes with me everywhere. I'm talking for you. You get the White Claw.
I was about to say, I refuse to believe Alex does not travel with an emergency bottle.
No, there's an emergency bottle in my car at all times, at both cars, actually. We're good. Don't worry about me.
Speaking of Jameson, I was in my buddy's wedding in September, and as the groomsman gift, he bought everyone whatever their liquor of choice was in a gigantic bottle. Sorry. And I told him Jameson was my liquor of choice. So that is the liquor that's the bottle that I'm currently using. It's one of those giant,
like the ones you see in like display in like liquor stores,
like the liter and a half or whatever.
Whatever it is, it's sitting in my
because that's
kitchen.
what I currently have in my kitchen is a liter and a half.
Whatever it is, I don't know what size.
That's awesome though. That's an awesome gift.
The biggest bottle of Jameson I've ever had in my house, and it's now what I'm drinking next to beer is Jameson from there, and then beer from the kegerator, and kind of switching it up.
Oh, dude! Next tailgate I see you at, I'm coming with you with the big bottle. I'm gonna find you with the big bottle.
I will say this though, that first tailgate back from all this crap is gonna be a disaster.
No.
Yeah. You guys remember that scene in Scary Movie 2 where the guy is like hasn't had sex in a long ass time and then blows up the fucking ceiling?
Everyone's gonna get together and just blow the ceiling off. Got it.
That first tailgate back's going to be an absolute disaster.
Dude, absolutely.
Dude, it's going to be great. Disaster.
We're going to be
that's what makes those tailgates fun.
We're all going to be 100% trashed by kickoff.
Dude, I'm telling you,
Kyle's gonna have to drag me to the fucking stadium.
Yeah.
I'll be asleep in the parking lot.
We're gonna go into the next part of this podcast, but one last thing about the tailgate. Marco is not making it into the stadium, and that is 1,000% a fact.
The hidings are gonna take effect.
For real, God bless Marco, and he's dealt with this pandemic.
Yep.
He's dealt with this pandemic more than any of us have.
Yep.
So
we talked about him last episode.
We talked about it in our last episode.
You know what though? I've known Marco for a bunch of years, and you know what? He has not only is he on the front lines, but he has had this and he's survived it, and he will be absolutely shit-faced hammered the first time he get back.
Damn right.
I'm gonna find him with a Jameson bottle too.
That canteen's gonna be deadly.
Marco not. Marco's not buying any beer, any alcohol shots, because he always shows up with shots. Marco's not allowed to come to that first tailgate with either shots or beer, because every single person a part of the Viking Army is going to come up, and they're just going to keep handing him alcohol.
You tell him not to bring it.
Absolutely.
Go ahead and try.
I dare you, man.
Marco,
go. Good luck with that, dude. He's going to pour it down your throat and tell you to shut up.
All right, Justin. Let's keep this going.
So
let's put the eye on John.
All right, hold on. So episode 10, we're gonna go a little round robin. We're gonna ask John a bunch of questions about being a capo and RBA. and the New York Red Bulls. So,
hold on, give him a little bit more of an introduction there.
How are the questions going to work? Is it going to be like Jeopardy style? Or
Justin's had one White Claw. He is too drunk to do his job
Yeah, I was
right
about
now.
to say, I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna take his car keys in a couple minutes because Justin is just
Shut up, Dad. Fuck you, Dad.
Take his Uber account away from him.
I'll be that guy. I remember my first beer.
All right, listen, John, I don't know how many years you've been a Capo, so you're going to break that down for me and then throw it back to me, and I'll ask you the first question, and then we'll continue.
All right, so I have to think because I'm really terrible at math.
You're an English teacher? Or math?
Well, you're a history
history.
teacher, right?
No,
So-
social studies.
Yeah,
studies.
nobody
history.
expects the history teacher to know math.
No. And I tell my kids that all the time. They're like, you know, they ask me about math, and I'm like, the last thing you want is help from me in math. So,
See, the question's wrong. The answer's wrong.
so years that I've been a Capo. So I've got to say it's at least at the max 5 years now when I first started doing it, because my first Viking Army scarf is 13. So it's got to be 14, maybe 15. So 5-6 years that I ended up being a Capo. So it's been a while, and it's about 5 years at the least 5 years or so.
I remember my first so I joined the Viking Army in. Oh my God! I really I'm looking at the scarves on the wall trying to figure out what year I joined. But I remember I sat in 107 for a while. I didn't sit in 102, but there was it was a US Open Cup game, I remember, and I was able to get my ticket moved because my ticket rep was like, "Hey, you've been talking about maybe moving over to 102. Do you want to just go over there for one game?" I was like, "Absolutely. You know what? Do it." So I did it for a US Open Cup game. And it was you and Chris were on the stand. And all I remember was, this is a lot of fun. This is a lot of fun. And you just everyone was chanting, but it was getting a little quiet. And you just blurted out loud, "Everyone start fucking making some goddamn fucking noise. Let's fucking go. I don't care. It's a Tuesday fucking night." And I'm sitting here
hell yeah.
I'm just sitting here I would follow this man to the ends of the earth if he told me to.
This is Sparta.
He brings the fire every fucking game.
I will die if
That's what you need as a Capo,
if
man.
this man told me to go to war. I would die for him.
Here we go.
It sounds about right, and it all goes back to I got Red Bull season tickets as sort of a holdover between Devils hockey seasons, and it was kind of oh cool, I have something to do during the summer, and it kind of completely went from there. And I had always gone absolutely ape shit when it came to being in the section. It was absolutely everything I ever wanted to do was just be loud and obnoxious for a long extended period of time with a lot of other people doing the same thing. And from there, it became, we had at the time, Jason Corliss was the lead Capo when I first was in 102. And then we had Casey Miller, who was there as well. And Choopy was also the Capo, at the time, along with everything else that Choopy does for Viking Army, which is pretty much
everything.
Yeah. So what wound up happening is Casey wound up leaving, and there were it was one of those things where I would always wanted to do it, but it wound up becoming oh look, hey, we need someone, why don't you go try? So I wound up trying, and prior to me becoming Capo, Mark Padro became Capo and was doing it as well, and it just wound up going from there. It was one of those things where it wasn't like I applied to do it or I was like, hey, I want to do that. It was just like, hey, you're a loud asshole, so why don't you go do this in front of everyone else and be a loud asshole and get everyone else to do it too. So that's pretty much where it went from, which was pretty much everything I was doing at Devils games anyway. And then I just kind of transferred it over to being at Red Bulls games, and it was just, a whole section of a couple hundred people being loud assholes with me, and that decided to want to follow me to be a loud asshole. So,
and now you're the important loud asshole.
Well,
We always need
yeah,
one.
I guess so. It's just when it comes to the supporter section and Viking Army, there's pretty much one thing that I believe, and it should be loud, and it should be full out for the full 90 minutes. And, kind of like Matt was saying, like, just be loud. And that's really all I care about, is everyone just being loud for the entirety of the game. And that's our point of being there in the supporter section, is just to be loud. And, sometimes we're assholes. That's about it.
I just love how much of a family atmosphere it ends up all being. Like, I just love the fact that, like, it doesn't matter if someone's there one game or if someone's been there now season ticket holders for 10 plus years. I feel like it doesn't matter who's to your left, who's to your right, especially like when you start to link arms and we start to sway side to side. It has to be almost every game. I don't know the person to my left. Like that, I'm usually always on the end.
I'm right there.
You're on the right. But I'm talking about, like, I don't know the person on the left, but it doesn't matter. It's like, I don't care who you are as a person. It doesn't matter. I don't care about your views, your beliefs. It doesn't matter. Like, for this moment, for this chant, I'm going to link arms with you, and we're going to sway side to side, and we're going to do it as a family.
You miss
John,
any other sport doesn't have it.
I was about to say, any other sport does it,
but it will never happen.
No, and that's kind of how I got involved with Viking Army. It's when I first started coming to games, I was there with a friend of mine and his, now ex-wife, and a former girlfriend of mine, and I found myself at one point. And I cannot remember the date, so I apologize for that, but I cannot remember the date, but I found myself being there on my own, and I had no one else to be there with, so I was like, you know what, I have to start making friends. And that's pretty much what everything, and I'm going through all my pictures in my phone to see if I can find a date, but I found myself in the situation where I'm like, you know what, I have to make friends, and I have to get involved in this group somehow. So I went on an away trip, New England away, which was backstory to that. The day before New England away was a retirement party for work. So two of the teachers in my team were retiring, and we just got absolutely hammered at this retirement party on a Saturday.
I was about to say, Dre's girlfriend and my fiance are also both teachers. John knows that. For those who don't know, who don't have a teacher in their life, when teachers get in the same room and are allowed to consume alcoholic beverages, it's a different ball game. You don't understand when people have all this built up frustration over an entire school year and they get to let it out as a group. I'm surprised paintings aren't being torn off the wall and whipped across the room.
So here I am at this retirement party, get absolutely hammered, get driven home from this party, and I have to get on a bus at 9 a.m. the next morning on a Sunday to New England, which New England is not a very successful away trip for us at all.
No.
We won that day in New England. However, I went on that bus knowing that I knew nobody and I needed to make friends. And that's where I met Manny, who is now, successfully, running a hotel or the kitchen of a hotel down in Santiago, Chile. Sorry. So I went on this bus knowing Choopy, and that was about it, because everyone who gets involved with Viking Army meets Choopy, and he's your friend. But
it's accurate.
I wound up getting on this bus knowing nobody, and wound up making friends that are now, people that I consider family from this bus trip. And from that single bus trip on a Viking Army bus, on the brown bus, which is happened to
the
get
best
on.
bus. The best bus.
The best
brown
bus.
bus is always the best bus.
That needs to be a t-shirt.
first of all, we won in New England. Now that was a big deal.
Right.
And I just got absolutely hammered. I started drinking about 9 a.m. on that day and wound up drinking all the way until, I don't know, we got home at 10, 11, 12, whatever it was. And then because it was a Sunday, went to school and work the next day. Just absolutely like, yeah, just go do, just.
Is that the day
work,
you showed a video in class? You're just like, we're just going to watch this.
Showing videos is actually worse than actually trying to do work because you sit there and you just sit there and actually you get worse as the day goes on. You actually want to try to do stuff. I actually pulled it off and was able to teach that day, but man, that was a rough day. But
I can imagine.
Really my first big thing was New England away at the Viking Army. Was I went on that trip and I specifically did that trip like I need to make friends in this group because it's just me, and I came out with lifelong friends and a love not only for the club, but club as in New York Red Bulls, but a love for our club, Viking Army, as well.
Nice, very nice.
That's awesome, dude. That is awesome.
I would make an argument. He kind of already answered my questions. So
no, he really did. So I mean,
I'd like to dive in, which is good.
I mean, then, or Justin, you mind if I go?
Go ahead.
Hit yours up. Go ahead.
All right. So I'm going to make you pull through the archives of the last couple of years, John.
You have to remember, this man drinks a lot. He might,
that's what
the
I'm
dates
saying.
are fuzzy.
I'm not looking for the dates.
Welcome to my life.
I'm not looking for the dates. I just want the games. So, John, over your entire years of being a capo for the Viking Army and a part of the South Ward, what is the greatest game you've ever been a part of as a capo, whether it be home or away? What is the best moment you've ever had being on that stand?
All right, so two things here. One, winning the Shield when we weren't supposed to, when it was in Toronto and Atlanta thought they were going to win. That's one of my, as far as being on the stand, that is it. But as far as one of the best games and everything being a part of was probably away at Cincinnati in the U.S. Open Cup, because that whole trip was flying out. I think the flight was 11 o'clock on that Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. Flying out on that Tuesday, we went to, we flew into, I guess you fly into Kentucky when you go to Cincinnati, flying into Kentucky and then going to Cincinnati, watching from landing. We went over to Cincinnati, went to a bar, watched Trent Alexander-Arnold become a legend against Hoffenheim with that free kick, and then went to that away match against Cincinnati where it was not guaranteed we were going to win, and then the night ending with BWP jumping into our section to celebrate winning that game.
So that photo, you're in that photo forever. You have two drumsticks in hand, grabbing BWP by the back of his shirt as he jumps in. Like, that photo is iconic in Red Bull history, and John is just a part of it. But to go back to your first one, the game the day we were not supposed to win, I want that named. I want to reach out to Red Bull front office. Because they just showed it, I think, today on their website or something. I want that day to be known as the day we shouldn't.
Yeah.
I just remember
Toronto handed us a cup. Not a cup,
I still owe that starting 11 from Toronto a beer.
That's probably the only time Matt will ever compliment Michael Bradley.
God, I do owe Michael Bradley a beer, don't I?
No, you don't. Not at all.
Okay, so everyone else but Mike Bradley. No, I just remember, like, Justin was to my right, Kyle and Alex were in front of me, but I remember, like, I have the Atlanta game on my phone because because that game is just as important as the one that's going on the field.
Back and forth, yeah.
And as the games are going, I'm only about 6 or 7 rows away from John. So like I scream, John. John, like mid chat, just looks over at me and I'm doing the hand signals, like what the score is. And he's like, really? Oh my God. And you could just see like the emotion just coming out like, holy crap, we're going to fucking do this. Like, Derek.
That was a good day.
Derek Etienne redeemed himself that day.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
tell you that. Oh, how do you miss him?
That game was the first of which I hope are many that I teared up on the Capo stand, and it was just a massive day for us. Like the Shield. So side note, if you didn't know this, the Atlanta supporters had taken the Shield prior to that game ending, thinking that they were going to have it, and the Atlanta supporters had that Shield in their possession. And then their team just took a complete shit against Toronto. And we wound up getting that Shield, and we had nothing but Lenny's fake,
the
Shield, yeah.
the Captain
Fake
America
shield.
shield.
fake Captain America Shield. And that's what we celebrated with, which is even better. And like, I was there when we won our first Shield. I wasn't there. I should have been in Chicago, but I wasn't. But that third Shield just felt like so much more because there was so much going on to where we were, potentially at the beginning of the day supposed, we could have won it. And then it wound up building and building and building. And we wound up ending the night as the Shield winners when we weren't supposed to be there. And that was the best part of it is we wound up winning that Shield when we were not supposed to win it. And that, like, specifically, if you want to be on our stand in 102, that is my favorite moment so far of being on that stand and winning that Shield. That right there was insanity. It was just insanity with our match in front of us, and then everything else going on away in Toronto was awesome. And it's like, and knowing that the Atlanta supporters took that Shield and they had to hand it back to Toronto, like,
So sweet.
That was
here you go.
like,
We didn't get this.
that's inside story right there. No, like really not many people know that. I assume that like the MLS would have held it until like the end of the game and then I
didn't know that either.
I knew the Shield was in Toronto. I knew like they were ready to hand it to, because I knew they wouldn't have it at a neutral site. I knew they would be ready to give it to the team that at that point was favorite and who was putting their money on Toronto to blow Atlanta out of that.
Honestly, I can't speak for anybody else, but having the Captain America shield did not lose any meaning. Like watching
no, not at all.
Oh no!
Looking back at
not.
pictures of like the team in Padrino just holding the shield, like
it made it a little more special. I feel like
yeah,
a little
absolutely.
more special.
Yeah, but Matt, here's the thing though. MLS is not in control of the shield. The shield is all supporter driven. And it's not the league's trophy to give out. It is our trophy. So the supporters are the ones who give it out, and the supporters are the ones who hold that trophy. That the shield is not a league trophy. So it was merely handed off from supporter group to supporter group, and it has nothing to do with the league. It is merely it is all supporter driven. And that trophy is all supporter owned and handed out to the club. So the league has nothing to do with it. It is all ours.
That's really cool. I never knew that.
I
knew it was called the Supporters Shield. I didn't know it was actually legitimately run and operated by the supporters. That's really cool.
Yep, it's legitimately all ours, and the teams that won the league prior to the Supporters Shield being actually created, and actually I think either the creation or the engraving, I'm not sure, so I can't be quoted on this specifically, but either the creation or the engraving of the shield is done by the same people that do the Stanley Cup. So that's even better.
That is really cool.
Is the fact that the Stanley Cup is involved and the Supporter Shield's involved in by the same people.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it's It's completely driven by the supporters.
So fantastic. I can tell my fiance I've kissed the same thing that has been worked on by the same people who have worked on the Stanley Cup. Therefore, I have kissed the Stanley Cup. Boom. What's the next question?
Wow.
No.
Terrible connection, Matt. Terrible.
Yeah, seriously.
No, come on. It's the same exact thing where like Man United's beaten Watford. Watford beat Liverpool. Therefore, Man United's beaten Liverpool. Boom. Oh my God. No.
Don't put Watford in with Man United.
No.
Man United
Yeah,
is.
No. Oh, come
Watford
on.
is Arsenal's most important.
Okay,
player.
I was about to say my apologies. Watford is Arsenal's best player this year.
No.
Who has the next? Who has the next?
I'm
question?
gonna ask the next one here. Let's take a step away from the high that was a supporter shield and get a little more grim. John, what was your hardest moment as a capo for the VA?
Atlanta away.
Why?
Atlanta away in the playoffs. That match, that away match in the playoffs was the hardest match that I've ever gone to. Not only because we should have won and wound up losing, we wound up walking out of there and their supporters, after winning, were giving us such shit. And we had a couple banners with us. We wound up getting into an altercation with Atlanta supporters outside of not only the stadium, but with like in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And Atlanta away easily was the one match that I flew down. I had a lot of hopes for. It took, and I still to a point have yet to recover from Atlanta away.
Did they take the banners like in like the altercation?
Oh, hell no.
John would kill. John would kill.
That's what I want to know. Like,
did you see him with
it sounds
that
like you guys fight. Like,
there was so speaking of that stuff, there was DC away and Matt was there. Matt had his.
I've heard this story.
I got punched swiped. So I got punched in the back of the head. I got shoved to the ground, and as I was on the ground, someone happened so kindly as
someone was like, "Yo, you're a pussy."
Well, someone decided to take the scarf right off my back and run up. He didn't punch too hard because screaming eagle pussies don't hit that hard.
Ooh.
I immediately
hope they're listening.
I immediately turned back. And
so much for staying neutral.
No, fuck.
And I was
podcast.
DC? Hell no.
That's our fucking rivals, man. Fuck them.
And I turned around and I looked at John because John and Chris were right there. I was like, "Hey, I just got hit, but some guy just took my scarf." And out of nowhere, John and Chris didn't even let me finish my sentence before they were like, "Which direction did he run in?" And I'm like, I think over that way. Boom, gone. I'm like,
you caught the guy.
I just remember we're leaving in 30 minutes. I'll figure it out.
and
I don't need it. It's okay.
At that point, Matt's like, Kelly really wouldn't want, and I'm like, shut up. Yeah. Kelly would be all about me doing this.
Yeah.
So Chris and I went, and it wound up being that was the Matt, if I'm not correct, or if I'm not mistaken, that was the first away match at the new stadium.
Yeah, that was BWP's 100th goal.
New shithole.
Yeah, it was BWP's 100th goal.
And
it was rain delayed for like 2 hours.
Oh, yeah. A flooded disaster. But we wound up in there's a back alley near that stadium that like me and Chris and Santi and a bunch of us, it wound up being like 10 versus 10 in this really weird fight in a back alley next to that stadium. And unfortunately, we were unable to get Matt's scarf back, but it was just this really weird, like, we did all we could, and it's like, well, what are these guys going to do? And they were coming at us. We were going at them, and it's like, well, I hope none of these guys have some kind of a sharp object like a knife to stab any of us, but we all did what we had to do, and it's like, you know what? That's when you believe in your club colors, not only Red Bulls, but especially Viking Army, you just go and you are more than willing to go defend what you have. And that is, us.
It was great. I was trying to rush everyone to the van because I wanted everyone in the van so I could start driving around all the DC metro area looking. No, it's not that. I was like, because I didn't know where John was. I didn't know what direction they ran in. So I was like, everyone get in the damn van. We're going to fucking find these guys. And as we're running up to the van, they were already there screaming and yelling across the street at other people. And I'm sitting here like, oh, well, at least John's right there. Like, I can see John.
Dude, when I heard this story for the first time, I wish I was there. Oh, I would have had so much fun.
Oh, it was a good time.
I would have
been right next to him, like.
Dude, the only thing that just pissed me off that entire night is like we knew it was gonna rain, but we thought like, it's gonna rain, but like they'll still play the game. We didn't think it was gonna rain to the point where like it is now a 2.5 hour rain delay, and I'm just sitting here like you guys.
Yeah.
Like I had work.
Thunderstorms.
I had work the next morning at like 8 o'clock. So like,
thank God we had the roof to keep us dry. Oh wait, that one didn't work.
Oh yeah, the roof. Oh yeah, the roof didn't work. The
plumbing system. Work.
Yeah, the screen didn't work. The plumbing didn't work. DC really knows how to welcome people to their brand.
It's like they want us to make fun of them.
Fairly
easy. It's easy to make fun of DC. It's so easy to make fun of DC.
But that was a both great and horrible memory at the same time. Luckily, Matt had the morning driving shift. I had the late night driving shift to get us back to RBA at fucking 4 a.m. after all that. But
I was about to say,
at least we could all say we saw BWP's 100th goal at our arch rival stadium. So that was fucking really cool.
Thank God we didn't have any more wiener chants like on the way down.
Yeah.
Oh, that was too much. Honestly, that trip going and coming back, like that was just I loved every second of it, and I wouldn't change one part from start to finish. No. Yeah. From watching Jason have a moment in the car right outside the DC metro area trying to piss in a cup to me getting punched in the back of the head, not 1 second of that entire trip would I change.
Oh yeah,
not even a little bit.
Not even the punch in the head. What if you would have missed? That would have been a nice.
That would have been funny because then I would have just turned. No, because then I would have just turned around and made a Wayne Rooney joke, like how you're just like Wayne Rooney, you can't hit the net either.
Exactly. I would have changed at least that. Just saying. All right, I'm gonna pass it to Kyle.
Okay, my question is both, I guess, for you and the club as a whole. What goes into preparation for each game? Whether is there a different preparation for, like, say, a big game versus like a who cares kind of game?
Kyle,
they're all important. Cough, not Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, for me and for the club, it's all the same. It's home or away. It's a match, and the match is worth 3 points, and that's all that matters. If it's home, obviously, we're all there in 102, and then we have 101 and 133 next to them. If it's away, we're all kind of smushed together, but it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's all one thing. It's a match, and it's 3 points, and if you're there, you're going to go as hard as you can, and that's all that matters. And you push the team to get the 3 points, and you're loud as fuck.
That's the most important.
That's about it.
That's it.
And I guess my next part of the question would be, with the Red Bulls being one of a few teams to have multiple supporter groups that have to present one thing, what goes into creating new content with the other supporters groups?
Away games.
The claws are about to come out. Like, yo.
For everybody non-Southward, here comes the shit show.
Just actually, along, please.
We try.
Away games are the best for getting new content. It's because you have a smaller section of people, and everyone is generally mashed together, and you try new stuff.
And usually the people that go to away games are probably more like rabid fans that are willing to try
dedicated fans
that new stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Like the away supporters are the ones who are going to be there home or away, no matter what. And you can try new stuff on away matches, and bring it into a home match. During off seasons, like this off season in particular, we had a bunch of stuff we were going to try. We obviously haven't had a chance to do it because we only had one home match, which sucks, but hey, it is what it is. But usually that's the best way to try something new is an away match when you have all three groups smooshed into one section. Like, hey, let's try this and let's go with it. And hey, it worked. All right, let's bring it to a home match. You know, I speak to people from both ESC and GSU, so bringing in new stuff. The bottom line is everyone believes in the team in front of us. Everyone believes in the New York Red Bulls, and we all want to be loud.
Well,
yeah,
hoorah!
I agree on that last part.
No, it's like we're all there for the same reason. We're
Right.
all there because we love the team. And usually away matches are where we can try something new. And if it works, like, you know, twist and shout at DC away for the playoffs for 15 minutes wound up becoming what we know today is our goal song. You know, and that's what happens. It's when it works in an away match, we're going to bring it to home.
It'll work at home.
And that's
yeah.
pretty much what it is.
Nice.
Maybe we'll get to try some of the new ones when we're all there on like Wednesdays in February, finishing the season.
Yeah, when all 14 people show up.
When we're there like 3 days a week in August or September.
I was about to say, I can't wait. I can't wait from my Saturday night game to my Wednesday afternoon game to my Saturday night game. I cannot
it's
wait.
Like a championship.
It'll never happen, but imagine
I
a
really
Saturday,
can't wait.
Sunday.
Saturday,
I'm about
Tuesday,
it.
Saturday.
Exactly.
I'm
dude.
about it. I'm about it.
We're going to. John just said it. You want to experience the championship schedule? Yeah, that's right. That's 3 games a week. 3 games.
I'm about it.
3 games in a
about it.
7-day period. Oh, you better get ready because
Matt's just gonna be camping out in the parking lot. Like, I'm not going home.
This might be blasphemous to say, but the Viking Army might have to like pace ourselves.
That's no. Why?
I don't know if
Why would
Marco's
we
going to
do that?
survive 3 days.
He'll be
Marco's.
fine.
I was going to say, wait, we got to come back in 3 days. Oof. Better get some water.
Just not gonna leave.
If everyone's doing anything during this quarantine, it's drinking. So
Oh,
I think
my
we'll
It's
all
God.
be
bad.
Practicing.
really well off.
So
All my gas money is going right back into drinking. That's what I've come to.
Absolutely. Easily.
All the
Easily.
gas money I spent just goes right back into Jameson.
I've become like a bartender at this house over
Yeah.
this quarantine. I've learned how to fucking mix drinks this whole time. It's ridiculous.
I'm running out of places to put empty bottles of Jameson.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Oh, I am. I have them on the windowsill at this point. My next,
Oh, God.
it's in. I have an empty bottle inside my PC. I have like 5 on the windowsill,
I
and
saw
then
that.
back.
I think
in
I saw
my,
an emergency one hidden in the tank of the toilet.
No. The
You
emergency
never know.
ones.
you
You
never
never
know,
know.
Kyle, when you're having one of those deep moment, situations in the
I
bathroom
just
where-
keep it right next to the toilet cleaner, just like a little
There you
thick
go.
bottle of it. But literally,
My
I'm like, oh, I'm gonna save so much money. Nope. Everything I've used to like spend gas or whatever it was
Yeah.
back during normal days, back in the days, is just going to pure alcohol now.
Just wait to
Easily,
see how much
easily.
Jameson he owns once we all get stimulated.
So
I'm
Dre,
gonna have that money for a whole 30 minutes.
There you go.
so Dre, you got the last question.
I do.
Too, right?
And I have one quick one to piggyback off Kyle's before I ask you my question. So working as a capo with the supporter clubs and also like communicating with the front office, do you guys ever get any pushback or any kind of guidance from the MLS or the Red Bull front office about like, hey, guys, don't say that shit or like cut that out or do they like give you voice their approval if they like chants? Like what's that process like?
The only thing that I can think of that where we got pushback, like don't do that or this, is when we went away from the "You suck asshole" chant on the goal kicks. Aside from that, there's really
That's
been
G-rated.
not much.
Yeah. Do they have to like
It's-
approve banners,
Yeah,
tifos and stuff that you guys come up with, or is you guys kind of have free reign of that?
Yeah, tifos and banners they want to have to approve. But as far as chants or whatever,
That's kind of on you guys.
it's kind of on us. And it's like if we wind up like if you've seen me on the capo stand, I'm kind of like, oh well.
Yeah.
It's like, hey,
So sometimes the will of the
It
people is
just-
just
it
too
just
much. Like when
happens.
we start cursing out Atlanta or New York, that's the one capo can't stop the entire section of doing
No,
it.
not at all.
Especially when
No,
Redman's
but-
in front and in full union gear. How are you not going to chant that?
But then again, because I love this club. Like I'm not.
Bite your tongue.
If
Bite your
I
tongue.
absolutely hate what's going on, you're gonna see it in front of you.
Yeah.
I'm cursing out whatever's going on. Like, yeah, I'm just absolutely gonna curse out everything that's going on. If I hate it, you're gonna know. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I think you guys have all seen that.
Yeah, yeah. So then to my actual question, I know you've already mentioned a couple of these stories, but is there any particular away day memory that's your favorite? I know you mentioned the Atlanta playoff game. You had some low moments in the DC and other games, but do you have any particular favorite away day memories?
Yes, the 7-0 match. The 7-0 match. So the backstory with the 7-0 match is this. I ran the Brooklyn half marathon that morning on the 7-0 match. I wound up staying at Manny's place the night before with like an hour and a half. When it's a big race, I mean, I've run distance races in the past. Generally, on a distance race, I have trouble sleeping. So I had like an hour and a half of sleep that day going into it. That morning, run the Brooklyn half marathon, finish with Manny. We then jet to Manhattan, shower at a gym somewhere in Manhattan. I don't even know where. Manny had a membership. We shower in Manhattan. Wound up going to the match on like an hour and a half of sleep, drinking at the bar, getting on the train, walking off the train, and I think everyone's seen the videos of those assholes from City just being City and throwing shit, throwing smoke and this and that.
I was just about to ask, because I know there is plenty of RBNY, Southward, a lot of people from the like actual New York area who like they'll tailgate at like one of the bars, or they'll have like they'll have it with groups. Do you guys see a lot of resistance getting to Yankee Stadium? Friendly reminder, a soccer team that plays in a baseball stadium.
Well, that day.
How do you really feel, Matt?
That day in particular. So that day in particular, you know, we went to Legends. We met with everyone. We did the march into Penn Station. Did the whole train ride there. It's the Claw. Got off the train there, and I swear they were waiting for us. You know, they were throwing shit. It was a disaster. And they wanted nothing more than to be this European style. Let's fight before the match, blah blah blah. You know, NYPD didn't know what to do. Like the closest NYPD had ever had to that situation was Yankees Red Sox, and I'm sure all they do is look at each other. But we were ready to throw down. It wound up being a melee, split up, go meet with everyone. We win 7-0. The shit that went down after the match, however, was beyond anything. I wound up there were only a couple people that wound up getting maced that day. I got maced in the eyes.
Oof.
I got maced in the eyes after that match.
Oh shit.
It was if you've never been maced, it's miserable. It's
no, I have not. I can't say that I have.
Miserable.
Wait, can we make this a thing, guys?
No, no. Alex,
I don't.
Alex, this isn't one of those like recommended things. Like,
now I'm just imagining.
This sounds like a challenge to me.
Now I'm having to imagine like
John, you can shoot it in our eyes. It's cool.
Now I'm imagining sitting through the bus trip on the way home, just eyes burning.
So here's what happened. One of their assholes stole a Viking Army scarf, and I went into the melee to try to get it. I'm walking away, and NYPD fucking maces me in the left eye. It was absolutely miserable, and I'm trying to deal like what the fuck do I do? I go to an NYPD. I'm like, what do I do? And like I go to an NYPD person, and all they can tell me is, oh, by the way, we just went to like a stronger mace. I'm like, yeah, I can tell. It fucking hurts. It fucking hurts.
Oh, fuck.
You thought that last shit was bad? Check out this shit.
So I have to.
We
give
started
credit
using
to,
Carolina Reapers.
I got to give credit. Steve Ferrezza, ESC. I was blind for 30 minutes. Is essentially what it comes down to. Steve Ferrezza from ESC brought me to a Dunkin' Donuts to get me milk to put in my eye. It was absolutely miserable. And eventually it wore off and I could see again. And was like the scarf from that day, it's hanging up in my living room now because I refuse to put it over my face because I guarantee there's mace on the scarf somewhere. And I just want to leave it as is, mace,
Let it dry
mace
out.
stained scarf. But we wound up like with all my boys from Viking Army, we wound up going out to some Spanish bar in Manhattan, like midnight, because we just went from that match. It was the greatest thing, and then it was you're maced in the eye, and then it was like you made it through the mace in the eye, and your team still destroyed 7-0.
Yeah.
Like
A
you go.
touch.
You ran a half marathon in the morning. You got maced in the afternoon. You're now drinking in some Spanish bar at midnight. That was
Sounds
my
like
day.
quite a fucking adventure right there.
Sounds
What
like
a day.
hell of
That
a
was,
night.
that was my day. Half marathon in the morning. Your team destroys their local rival 7-0, and you're drinking a Spanish bar at midnight. And oh, by the way, you got maced in the middle of all that.
And there was a melee before the game.
Oh,
Just
so much fun.
Before we travel to the next part of it, there's a wise man that once said we scored a touchdown in a baseball stadium against a soccer team.
And on that note,
Thanks, Jay. On that note, that's part 1 of episode 10. Jesus Christ, I lost count. Stay tuned for part 2 coming up shortly. Thanks.
What's the Roman numeral for 10?
No.
X, motherfucker.
Is
It's
this
an
X? Is it just
Uh,
X?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on episode 10, part 1 with John Faherty, a Viking Army Capo for the New York Red Bulls. Stay tuned for part 2 where we dive into the New York Red Bulls, a little chit-chat about what we want to see in this team, hopefully when the season comes back. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Post and Pints. If you want to join in on the conversation or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, that's at Post and Pints Podcast. And remember, the banter is free, but the beer is not included. Drink responsibly.